Chapter 4. Not Fair. The young woman smiled at Jack and Annie. "How did you learn to read and write?" Annie asked. "I taught myself," the woman answered. "She wrote the poem and brought it to me," said Pluto. "Because I have written and told people that I think the Greek girls should go to school and learn things." "Is that the poem?" said Jack. He pointed to the poet's scroll. "Yes," said the young woman. "It's a wonderful story," said Plato, "but she will get in trouble if it is read in our land. You must take it back to your faraway home, where it will be safe." The poet handed Jack her scroll. He put it into his bag. "Tell us your name," said Annie, "so we can tell people who wrote the story." The young woman shook her head. "I cannot," she said. When she saw Annie's sad face, she added, "You can tell people it was written by Anonymous. "That's your name?" asked Annie. "No. Anonymous means that no one knows who wrote it," said Pluto. "But that's not true," said Annie. "I'm afraid the risk is too great," said Pluto. Annie looked back at the woman. "I'm sorry," said Annie. "It's not fair." "Not at all." The poet smiled at her. "I am happy that you will take my story to your country," she said. "Perhaps someday women everywhere will write books just like men." "They will," said Jack. "I promise." The young woman looked at him, puzzled. "It's true," said Annie. "Thank you, Annie," the young woman said. "And thank you, Jack." She bowed, then hurried out of the courtyard. "Wait," said Annie. She started to go after the poet, but Pluto stopped her. "Come along," he said. "The games will start soon." Pluto then led Jack and Annie out of the Greek house, back onto the dirt road. "Girls can't write stories," grumbled Annie. "They can't go to school. They can't be in plays. I've had enough of ancient Greece. Let's get out of here." "Wait," said Jack. What about the Olympics?" "Oh, yes," said Annie. Her eyes got brighter. "I almost forgot." "Well," said Plato slowly, "I would like to take you both to the games. I have special seats in the viewing box." However, he looked at Annie. "Don't tell me," she said. "Girls can't go to the Olympics either." Pluto shook his head. "A girl will get in terrible trouble if she goes to the games," he said. Annie sighed. "It's really not fair," she said. "I'm sorry," said Pluto. "My country is a democracy. We believe in freedom for our citizens, but I'm afraid right now that only means men." "Annie's right. It's not fair," said Jack. "I think we should go home now." "No, Jack, you go to the Olympics," said Annie. "At least you can tell me about it. Take notes." "What about you?" Jack said. "I'll go back to that play at the outdoor theater," Annie said. "Meet me there when you are done." Jack didn't want to leave Annie alone, but he also didn't want to miss the Olympics. "Go, have fun," Annie said. She began walking away. "I'll see you later. Bye, Pluto." "Bye, Annie," said Pluto. Annie tucked the bag again and waved. "I'll tell you all about it," Jack called. "This way," said Pluto. He and Jack turned and joined the crowd heading toward the Olympics grounds. Chapter 5. "Hi, Zeus. This is the very first day of the games," Play told Jack. "The day of the chariot races." "Oh, wow," whispered Jack. Chapter 5. Hi, Zeus. This is the very first day of the game, Plato told Jack. The day of chariot races. Oh, wow, whispered Jack. He couldn't believe he was going to see a chariot race. The modern Olympic Games didn't have chariot races. They walked toward the racetrack. Plato pointed to a large building near the road. That is the gymnasium, he said. It is where our athletes train. They practice running and throwing the javelin and discus. We have a gymnasium at our school in Frog Creek, said Jack. We call it a gym. People all over the world copy us Greeks. Plato said. Wait, said Jack. I have to take notes for Annie. He pulled out his notebook and wrote, Ancient Greeks invented gyms. Okay, we can go, said Jack. He tucked his notebook under his arm. As they moved along, Plato pointed to a beautiful tree nearby. The Olympic tree is our sacred tree, he said. The winners of the games will wear crowns made from its branches. Oh, wow, said Jack, and he wrote, Olive tree is sacred. Next, they passed a beautiful statue of a winged lady. Who's that? Said Jack. She's Nike, the goddess of victory, said Plato. Jack quickly wrote, Nike is goddess of victory. Nike is important to the games, said Plato, but the most important Olympic god is in there. He took Jack to a brick building with huge columns. They stepped through the door. It was a temple. Jack gasped. In front of them loomed the biggest statue he had ever seen. The statue was at least 2 stories high. It was a bearded man sitting on a throne. This is the temple of Zeus, and that is the statue of Zeus himself, said Plato. The Olympic Games are played in his honor. He is the chief god of the Greek gods and goddesses. Oh man, whispered Jack. Yesterday all the athletes came here, said Plato. They swore to Zeus that they had trained for 10 months, and they promised to obey the rules of the games. The statue of the mighty Greek god stared down at Jack. Jack felt very small. Hi, Zeus, he said. His voice was small too. Suddenly, trumpet sounds came from outside. The hour has come, said Plato. We must hurry. The Olympic parade begins.